It's time for a blast from the past.
It's now our 10th week without rain. Doesn't look like the heat's going to let up just yet.
Marge, the rains are here.
McCains super juicy corn cobbets, specially grown to be super juicy. So juicy they're simply bursting with flavour. Ah, McCain, you've done it again.
You've probably never seen this one on TV, Dr. J.
This was before my time. Was this when you were a kid?
So this is as I was growing up, this was. So, you know, Marge, the rains are here. That became part of our vernacular. And
Yeah.
if it's interesting, the more you look at Australian, you know, top ads or, you know, the most famous ads or the most recalled, they've usually got some sort of tagline that then feeds into the Australian vernacular.
I was thinking that when we were talking, all of our blasts of the past, with the exception of maybe Cadbury, when you look at classic Australian ads, they're all super Aka. Like you couldn't play that ad in Denmark and they'd go, "Oh, that makes sense to me." They highlight what this country is. So that there's something to that.
They tap into the Australian psyche and even the vernacular. But again, if you go back through 80s, 90s, and even 2000s, you know, it was very much tapping into that culture and that was mass. Whereas now, you know, year on year, we become far more multicultural. So you lose a little bit of that as we continue to expand our population. It's got product preference. So you're seeing the corn being eaten and it's juicy and you can see the flavor going everywhere by these kids and they're loving it.
Yeah.
You know, it's brought to life. That in essence, that simple idea has been brought to life in a very powerful way.
What's the and it's they hit that zeitgeist perfectly. Dry, arid Australia. That's something we all recognize. So when the rain's hitting the roof, that tin roof, we all recognize that. And what could say juicy better than comparing liquid juice in a corn cob to the most dry, arid desert thing out there? When you see the actual water hit the dust on the thing, this is my first time seeing this commercial. In I don't care. I don't know how old it is. Brilliantly well done. It's like, I get exactly your sell point. I know what you're doing, and I kind of want to try it now. I'm guessing, like in my head, these are like giant corn kernels, and I feel it, and I'm like, I want to go check this stuff out now.
So here, going back to let's look at brand or let's look at brand salience. So what is that? It's really owning the one or two words in the consumer's mind.
Yeah.
McCain was sitting there going, corn, who owns corn? Who knows? But do we want to own corn or do we want to own juicy corn?
Cha-ching. Now, what sounds better to you? Corn, you got cornmeal, you got all these other corn things. So they said, okay, what's our differentiating point? It's the juiciness.
Let's own juicy corn.
Yeah.
So this is where they started. What are the two words we want to own? So when I think juicy corn, or I want a real juicy corn, what do I want to own? Juicy corn McCain. Then how do we bring that idea to life?
Yeah.
Juicy corn, how can we best articulate that? Cool, we're going to have a really dry, arid, sunburnt, corrugated roof and some kids eating corn because we want kids to be eating corn and the family to be eating corn together. Like all the ingredients for a magical ad are in this, which is why I love it so much. They've owned it from a brand perspective in terms of the brand salience for juicy corn. I want to own that, just like pizza delivery. Who owns that? Domino's do. They don't own pizza.
One of the most underutilized, because it's incredibly difficult, technique in films is sensory. We are ridiculously good at mirroring. And if for some reason you can show me somebody eating a watermelon in a very juicy way with a close-up, if you could see my taste buds, the parts of my brain that process taste and say smell, they will be activating as though I'm eating that watermelon. So I can mirror senses. We just tend not to try to do that with film. We give you audio, we give you video, and we just kind of leave scent, taste, touch off to the side.
But just on that, that is product preference. So if we're looking weapons of influence, product preference, we want to see the Jeep going up mountains and doing these crazy things because that is what we associate. We want to see the product in action. If it's corn, we want to see someone eating a juicy, succulent. Beer, same thing. Drinking, makeup, we want to see people using it. We want to see it in action.
And beer does it really well too. So now we've got visual, we've got auditory. And sometimes that's fine. With a Jeep, there's really nothing more you need. I don't want to smell the exhaust. I don't need to taste the tires. But when you're selling a food product or something where your tag is juicy, how do I activate juiciness? And believe it or not, you can. And they did it very well by doing a contrast between two textures. In this case, dry, arid air and wet, dripping corn. That contrast is enough for me to activate my taste or my motor senses. And now I can actually feel those things with you. There's no way you're hooking up to my brain through your TV, but you've just tapped in and now I'm mirroring it. So one of the best examples of that, beer does it great when they have the person in the hot air with then the wet bottle and you're like, I feel the heat and now I feel the cool. I'm with you. And so that's what I liked about this is the dry, arid desert and the corn. There was no way I didn't taste that in my mouth. And I was already going, cool. I see what you did. I loved it. It worked. Give me some damn corn.